I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
Roswell 47. Which group is this?
The Extreme Underground.
XU! This is the Extreme Underground pick. There are multiple ways, dear listener, to get your song reviewed. For those of you who are new, by the way, shout out to all of our newest patrons.
A new
rival. Rob, Martin, Avery, all you beautiful people. Kimmy, Sarah P in the house. Sarah P is an OG. Talk to him, Sarah P.
She is.
Jeff, your song review's coming. Aaron, Steve, Yehiel, Gene.
And the list goes on.
Hey, look, if you're a patron, I would actually like some help. If you're a $10 and up patron, please tell me some things that you would like to see at your guys' tier, because I'm about to record and do a bunch of recordings, so I want to know what you guys want at the $10 and above tier. Let us know. Anyway, shout out to all our new patrons and our old patrons, the people that are holding us down during the freaking plague, y'all. So you'll notice, if you're brand new to the channel, you'll notice that we are a little bit different from other reaction channels. Shout out to them, no disrespect to them. But what you'll notice is they'll cut up their videos, and the reason they cut up the video is because you get a little copyright, little claim on your video, where the video then gets completely demonetized and all the money goes to the record label if you play the song straight.
Pull up one of those things.
If you just go to our thingamajiggy, you'll be able to see it. Well, you play the song straight through, you're gonna get one of those. They're gonna demonetize your video. So our strategy is, okay, well, if we go to Patreon, right, we'll make up the difference. Now, obviously. It doesn't make up the difference like completely, because if you go to Social Blade, you'll see what we should be making per month. But you know, look, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, it's for the love of the music. But anyway, that's why people do Patreon, because you know, it's a trade-off. Right, so that's what happens. $1 at the gate, you get brought into an alliance. The alliances are generally kind of genre specific, but you get recruited by an alliance leader, and it's really cool because on top of just the song suggestions and the songs getting played, you also get put into a pretty cool underground community. It's pretty tight knit. All that jazz. So there you go. That's Patreon. Thank you for all this. This is the band HYPOCRISY. The name of this song is Roswell 47, which is very, very interesting. From the album
why? What
Abduction.
Is Roswell 47?
Roswell is where, you know, supposedly an alien spacecraft crashed and government cover-up.
Hey, you remember you were going to tell me that story? It's like
I'll send you the screenshot of that.
No, I have it. You know what happened? I don't know what button I hit on this thing, but then it moved it to one of our other email addresses.
I see.
So, but anyway, right here. There it is.
Yeah.
So, don't forget, you were going to tell me a story of something that happened, like some married couple or some really creepy alien story.
Yeah, it's a married couple. They're pretty famous. They had an alien abduction. We'll talk about it another time.
Yeah, that's what I said. You're going to remember to tell me about it.
Okay. HYPOCRISY,
Roswell
47, let's go.
Stories. Ready? Go! Whoa!
Whoa.
Sinister looking at.
that this is going to be so bad.
What?
But
no, stop. Silence.
look at this.
What?
Look at the SmithsonianMag.com. A high altitude balloon crash landed in Roswell. That's the official story. Was that it was a weather balloon? Okay. No, I love the musicianship in this song, and I felt like, especially the tremolo parts were pretty inspiring, and I'd want to hear more like inspiring type lyrics instead of talking about Roswell, which I think is important.
Oh.
It's important to talk about, but I don't know. It's a weird. You know what's really weird?
What?
I don't believe the government's story about Roswell. But for some strange reason, this might have to do with me being successfully brainwashed by our government. The people who believe that it's like an alien spacecraft, I don't take them seriously either. But if you were to ask me mathematically what's closer to the truth between a weather balloon and an alien spacecraft, I would go with alien spacecraft over weather balloon. 100%.
Well, that does raise a little flag, doesn't it?
So it's weird.
So
that
what is it that we actually know about this thing?
Well, it crashed. It was probably, it's the most famous sort of alien. It was 1947 when it happened. That's why, Roswell 47. So here's my theory on about 90% of the spacecraft that people have seen. There's just way too many to just say all these people are crazy.
The abductions?
Well, abductions are a separate issue. I'm just talking about seeing.
What are we
I'm just talking
about?
about seeing spacecraft that are unidentified. They used to be called UFOs. Now they're called UAOs. Now I think it's unidentified aerial objects or something like that. Which the government just admitted last year that there was one and they don't know what it is. And the guy was on Joe Rogan and everything. So that was interesting. That's probably one of the byproducts of having a Trump administration, where Trump is like, why should we keep that a secret?
Well.
So anyway, I think, right here, September 18th, 2019, Navy admits UFO videos are real, but would like us to stop UC unidentified aerial phenomena instead of unidentified flying
What does it
objects.
matter? Because
I think because the term UFO has so much baggage connected to it, and they don't want to say we agree that there's UFO, but it's there. This is the Washington Post. This is not the Inquirer. They admitted it, and then the pilot that took the video was on Joe Rogan, and it was really insightful watching him on Joe Rogan, because he said that when he and his buddies wanted to screw with people, they would fly in these weird patterns, and then they'd listen in, and sure enough, there'd always be people that would call up and say, "Hey, this is
oh, that's terrible.
But
funny.
he was the guy who caught this on camera while he was in the air. He didn't even know it. He didn't know what it was. And the Navy admitted it's unidentified aerial phenomena. It's not ours. It wasn't Russia. It wasn't anybody's.
How can we know that? How can we know it wasn't anybody's?
Well, we've got pretty sophisticated radar systems, things of that nature.
So somebody couldn't have created something that is different than what's on our radar?
Well, again, they're not saying it's from space, but if you think about our military budget and what we're capable of doing, we've got the highest capabilities.
Why is that friggin' pause button in the middle of the whole thing?
Well, it's just it's just the way it is. But there's videos of it on YouTube. It's this thing right here. But anyway, we've got, we're pretty ahead of the game.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Technology-wise, especially our Air Force. So it's basically, if we don't know what it is, then it's. They didn't say this came from space. All they said is, we don't know what that is. That's all they said.
That's why the U is in there, unidentified.
Right. All they're saying is, the Navy designates the objects contained in these videos as unidentified aerial phenomena. Joseph Gardisher, spokesman for the Deputy Chief of Naval Operations for Information Warfare, told the Black Vault blog. Now think about that. That's who they had speaking on this issue. The Deputy Chief of Naval Operations for Information Warfare.
Yikes.
Most people didn't even know that existed. Your tax dollars at work, ladies and gents. So I mean, it's there, and this guy who's a vet, he was on the Joe Rogan show. He's like, I had no idea what it was. I don't know what it was doing. We've never seen something like this before.
Looks like it's moving really fast too.
Yeah, those things are whatever. So for me, 90% of these alien craft or whatever are just experimental machines that we've made that were test flying and all the rest of it. Like if you look at a stealth bomber and then you see some of the descriptions of alien craft, I mean, it fit a stealth bomber. You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like if you look at it,
yeah.
I mean, that looks like something out of a sci-fi movie. I mean,
yeah, it absolutely does.
yeah, especially this one, right? So, so to me, that's 90% of it. 5% of it is just people trying to be down, trying to say that they, whatever, and then 5% of it is like that stuff where everybody's like, don't know what that is. Like, and most of the people, like most of my friends have seen stuff that they go, There's one time I was driving my stepfather and he was like, look at that up there. We were kind of looking at it for about 3 or 4 seconds and then it was off and we never talked about it. He just looked up. I looked up. I said, what the hell? And then he just and I was like, it was a very weird moment. We just kept it moving. But yeah.
Wow.
And you get the Phoenix light. I mean, there's just too much stuff to where it's like, come on. And their response is, Michael Heiser, who's probably one of my favorite theologians and very, very influential theologian to me anyway.
You said Michael Heiser. For some reason, I thought you were saying Joe Rogan. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's no
Joe
theologian.
Rogan should really talk to Michael Heiser. That would be such an interesting discussion. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna actually see if I can arrange that, because that I would pay money to see that discussion. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Well, no, you were saying something about Michael Heiser.
Well, he did a documentary on this because Michael Heiser, he talks about his big specialty is that the Bible speaks about a council of gods and that Yahweh is the God of the gods, and that's why he's called the Most High and yada yada yada. And so, you've got these, not the ancient alien stuff, but there's definitely in the ancient world this sort of universal conception of the gods coming down to the earth to meet us. And so it's like I always say, if the sky opened up and a very tall, strong man in a beard said, I am Yahweh, and then proceeds to tell you everything about your life, would that convince you that a God existed? And people go, well, sure. And I always say, well, how do you know it's just not an alien who's familiar with your conception of what Yahweh would be, and they've been monitoring you, and so they have files since your birth, and they're able to tell you all this stuff or whatever. How would you know? And obviously the answer is you wouldn't be able to know whether or not it was actually Yahweh or a space alien, or if Yahweh is a space alien and da-da-da-da-da. So Heiser talks about these other beings who are hyper intelligent, very strong, that type of thing, that come down. And again, it doesn't matter if you're on the west side of the world or the east side of the world. In the ancient world, it's a universal story. And so obviously from Heiser's worldview, if there are other gods, I'm saying that in whatever, then it stands to reason that they would present themselves as superior beings based on cultural triggers or whatnot. And so anyway, he did this whole thing on Roswell, the Roswell incident, and his perspective is really interesting. He basically says when the government came out and said that it was a weather balloon, it was actually the government trying to get everybody to believe that it was an alien ship because it was such a stupid excuse. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so his logic is they were testing experimental aircraft, and the alien story is a nice red herring to get you to chase some stupid idea that isn't real. That isn't really the issue. So then they came out and said weather balloon, so that more people were like, and then the alien,
and then everybody gets sidetracked on that and not really like
right. And I'm actually closer to that view than that it's an actual alien. Right, so if you say weather balloon or alien, I'm closer to alien. But if you say alien versus experimental spacecraft, I'm about 95% certain.
That's interesting.
That's what's happening. Because people will be surprised to know what type of technology we had in the 40s. It's pretty incredible stuff. So one of these days they're probably gonna, unseal that in a FOIA at some point very quietly, and by that time the world will be worrying about other things and it'll be old hat at that point. But
yeah, I mean, I think it's an
interesting concept.
It is an interesting concept. And then like when I think about, first of all, I never ever even had the door open for even a tiny little smidge of a second as to whether there could be UFOs or anything outside of the Earth. Oh yeah, you were the first person that got me to say, well yeah, I mean, it's very possible that there's something else. I mean, why wouldn't there be? Like, what makes me think we're the only ones here? But anyway, like, I never took any of those people seriously. Literally, or that person,
the black one?
Yeah. She had brought it up, and I was like, what? I thought that was the most ridiculous thing. I was actually telling you how she had said that, and then you were like, well, I mean, and then we kind of started talking about it, and you kind of started giving your ideas, and I was like, that's interesting. And I only considered it because it was you that had said it. Prior to that, it would be like, no. And even still, I'm like, no, well, no, yeah. I kind of go back and forth on it, and I think it's that whole but then I think to myself, when I hear those stories of people getting abducted by aliens, I think that's so terrifying to think that if something like that did happen and nobody believes you, how awful.
I wouldn't tell anybody. I wouldn't mention it. I wouldn't say a word.
Would you tell me?
No.
You wouldn't.
No.
I knew it. I knew that answer.
I would
I
take
don't even
it.
know why I asked.
I would take it to my grave.
I would tell you.
I know you would.
Yeah. Well, there you have it.
What? It would destabilize you too much, and then you wouldn't stop asking me, well, what about this? What about this?
I would want to know all about it.
Yeah.
But how can you not want to know all about it? You telling me if I said I got abducted by aliens, you wouldn't ask some questions? Get out of here. You wouldn't ask any questions if I said I got abducted by aliens?
It would depend on whether or not I really believe that you did. Like, if I thought you were having some, mental breakdown or something like that, I would leave it alone. I wouldn't want to encourage that conversation if I thought you were having a mental breakdown, you know what I mean? So I would just be like, oh, okay. And then, I'd change the subject. Let's go play Mario Kart or something like that. You know what I mean?
Okay, so if you thought it really happened, then you'd start asking questions.
If I thought it really happened, well, it depends on how it affected you. If you were happy to talk about it, then but if you were traumatized by it, which a lot of these people are when I listen to them, then I wouldn't
But really, they're talking about it,
I wouldn't really push a lot up. I wouldn't really push that a lot.
These traumatized people are talking about it.
Yeah?
I feel like they want to talk about it. So just because I was traumatized doesn't mean I didn't want to talk about it with you.
So you're inventing something to argue about.
No.
I'm just saying I wouldn't talk about it.
That's crazy.
I wouldn't talk about it.
I would want to talk about it.
Well, yeah, if you wanted to talk about it, obviously. I just don't feel like everything needs to be talked about.
I know.
That's a major thing.
I know.
I see a lot of value in not discussing certain things. I see a lot of utility in it.
That means secrets.
Well, no.
There's a lot of utility in secrets, but I'm going to say not talking about things.
No, I just think that, people... Everybody wants to go out and talk about all the experiences they had or whatever because it makes them feel important or special or whatever like that.
Or they're processing.
Yeah. To me, it's just, hey, if you did something and you did something super secret, then it's meant to be secret. Like, what's the point of doing something super secret and then blabbing to everybody that you did it?
They didn't do it. They got abducted.
I'm like, I can't stand people that do that. You know what I mean? These people, they write these books, I was doing this, I was doing that, and those are supposed to be, clandestine,
Yes, I feel like
organizations.
you're
and then
talking
going
about something completely different than UFO abductions.
Well,
I feel like you're talking about some special operations people in some branch of the military that nobody's supposed to know anything about, and then they write books about what they did that they weren't supposed to say. I feel like that's what you're talking about, and I'm talking about people that got abducted by UFOs.
Well, I think there's, I hear you. But those worlds are not necessarily like that far apart from each other either. So, but yeah, I mean, I hear what you're like. On the curiosity side, like I definitely see that as valid as far as like the human experience. Like, oh my God, this is something we've never seen before. But like, if we were in a world where that stuff happened a bunch of times, we'd be bored of it. But yeah, we know you're from, you know what I mean?
Yes, you got abducted.
Yeah, you're from
this. It
this.
was about sex.
You're from this star system, whatever. Okay, like I think we get bored of it. It's like when we used to see the rockets go up.
But it's pretty scary to think
in
that
Cape Canaveral in Florida.
I don't know.
The first time it was like, oh my God, and then the 9th time it was like, can we go back inside now? I want to get back to recess because we cut into recess. Because Mr. Pegram would always make us finish our, math or whatever. So the first couple times I was like, oh my God, wow, look at this. This is amazing. You see the fire and the rocket and all that. It's piercing the atmosphere, whatever. And then like the 8th or 9th time I'm looking at my little watch and I'm like, shit, man, this is going to bite into my recess. So I think like if that happened, if they were like space aliens or whatever, like the initial, we would all be shocked. But then after a while, I'd be like, it's just a space aliens again, man. Who cares? They don't want to smoke. Who cares? We just go on. Or you disagree.
I mean, I just don't see how that pertains to somebody wanting to talk about their abduction.
What are you talking about? Of course you could talk about your abduction. If you're asking me if I would talk about it.
No, I already know you
wouldn't. If I abducted, I would never talk about it.
I already know you wouldn't. And then you said you wouldn't ask questions about my abduction, which I just don't believe you.
No, what I said was if I saw that you were traumatized by it, I would try to limit that discussion. Because how could we resolve that problem? Like, you got kidnapped by an alien. Like if you came to me and you were like, yo, I was in the street and this dude said something to me, I'm like, yo, what was he wearing? What was his license plate? Like, I could do something about that. If you got kidnapped by an alien, like, there's nothing I could do about it.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. If they have like some technology to like beam you up and disassemble your neutrons and reassemble.
Wouldn't you want to know where I was when I got abducted?
It depends. Like, if you're excited and having fun.
No, it was a traumatizing event.
Yeah, but if you're traumatized, I would not want to press that issue at all because there's no resolution to it.
There might be.
How?
You might find out that, I was on a walk down a trail by myself before that happened.
Right, which I've told you on numerous occasions not to do.
You might say, okay, see, you really, really need to not take walks down trails by yourself.
Well, I wouldn't need you to go through the whole entire traumatizing event for me to say that.
Babe,
as a matter of fact,
nothing in our history that convinces me you wouldn't ask for details.
Okay.
We have had so many conversations about things in my life. Oh, but maybe you're saying you weren't asking the questions, I was just doing all the talking, which is quite possible.
Well, and the issue is there's nothing in your life that's happened that I can't solve as a problem.
You can't solve my past when I was a kid.
Yeah, but I can make sure that those situations never get replicated. Right? And, if somebody was to...
I can't believe you don't have a way to save me from aliens.
Well, I mean, I guess if we close the border...
Ooh!
You Trump people. And miss me, white people, I'm an immigrant. I was born in Jamaica, so stop that. Half my... Just be quiet.
Yeah, Jamaican king.
Yeah. Like Orion. Jop on him throne. Yeah. I really wouldn't.
I mean, okay.
There's some ancient, like, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, there's actually an argument between a husband and a wife, and the husband's basically saying, you didn't cheat on me with one of those gods, did you? And the girl's like, no. But then she has a baby, and the baby turns out to be a giant. And the guy's like, you son of a bitch, you lied to me. Really interesting stuff. True story. I
just feel like that. I mean,
what?
That's a pretty unique situation.
Apparently
you get
not.
chosen by a god?
Not right.
Like, I feel like that's a little bit harder to say no to.
Right. Gilgamesh himself was a giant, so there's speculation that he was half.
Of course, if
half.
some female god came to you and you took advantage of that situation, I'd be very angry. But I feel like you shouldn't judge me if it happened to me.
I wouldn't judge you.
Okay, anyway.
I wouldn't judge you at all.
Matter of fact, I expect it. No, don't say stuff like that.
I just said I wouldn't judge you, babe. That's all I said. That's all I said.
Okay, I liked the sound of this guy's voice. You remember that song, the JL one? Who sings that?
Hush, Yael.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I forgot the name of the band.
But did he have a voice like that?
Sure. Yeah.
Kind of, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked his voice. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not, and I did. I enjoyed his voice.
Oh, Sleeper is the name of that band. What do you give the song? It's a 7.4 for me.
8.4.
Yeah. I actually really enjoyed the musicianship, and I mean it's a pertinent discussion for sure.
All right.
Tell us, do you guys believe that aliens exist, or are you agnostic on it, or do you think it's possible? I think it's.
Are you? Yeah.
I think it's crazy to believe that in this massively vast universe that we're literally the only sentient beings in the world. Like,
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying.
That's a crazy idea to me.
Yeah, it's very arrogant, I guess. Sounds.
Well, it's just, I don't know. To me, it's more crazy.
It's more probable that something would be out there.
It's more crazy to believe that than to believe in, little green man.
But we bought the party line.
I've also been listening to a lot of,
crazy.
at night, like around 3 or 4 in the morning when you go to sleep. I also have been listening to a lot of David Icke. This is the whole reptilians guy. Like, reptilians are taking over the world and all that. So
you're so funny.
He's an interesting guy.
The stuff that you just get into, you're like, all this mob stuff. Then it might be the, Jehovah's Witnesses. Then it's going to be this. Then it's like all these different, aliens. We did an alien phase. That was a fun one. I actually really like that one.
There's a lot of information to know in the world, and you have to.
He's always taking information. I go to bed at 3 or 4 in the morning. I can still hear that information pumping into our bedroom.
Well, now we've got access to information that humanity has never had in the history of the world, and people are just, it's like, hey,
I'm like, why would I do that? I can watch Arrow.
Vin out.
Sorry, out.
Gone. Yeah. Guy with his shirt off. Arrow. Now we're talking about her
That's
getting
not why
abducted.
I like it. That's not why I like it.
Judge for yourself.